In a world where fragmented operations leave aircraft collecting dust instead of collecting revenue, one podcast has set out to destroy downtime. This is the Death to Downtime podcast, the only podcast dedicated to aviation and aerospace tech ops professionals. Here's your host, Andy Hakes.
Welcome to the very first episode of the Death to Downtime podcast. I'm Andy, I am your host, and we are going to jump right in. So first of all, Death to Downtime? That sounds really over the top. It sounds very ominous. And if you think so, you are probably correct. But that's intentional because at Air Expert, that is really what we're all about, is killing downtime. So what kind of downtime are we talking about? So we are specifically referring to downtime in the context of things that should be flying, but can't because for some reason or another, they're in need of repairs or inspections or just general maintenance. And we're referring to commercial airliners, both passenger and cargo. We're talking about those beautiful business jets. And we're also going to explore the amazing and often hidden world of helicopters that very few people, including myself, seem to know anything about. So really, we're focusing on anything that's considered to be aviation or aerospace related. So out of service aircraft, AOGs, anything at all that causes us to take aircraft that should be flying along safely and reliably and keeps them on the ground, which of course disrupts normal operations. Those are the things that really keep us up at night. Why is that? It's because it's so incredibly painful for everyone. It's painful for the passengers and the shippers. It's painful for the maintenance and engineering folks, the leadership teams, the operations folks, the finance teams. Unscheduled downtime is incredibly complex. It is incredibly difficult, and it is very, very expensive. Now, before we get too much further, I want to take just a moment to introduce myself. I am an FAA certificated airframe and power plant mechanic, or aircraft maintenance technician if you prefer, and I've been one since 1989, so that's a really long time. I don't work on airplanes anymore, but I did for a long time, and most often I was a line maintenance technician, which means that I was responsible for solving a lot of problems that occurred just prior to flights, a lot of unscheduled type work. And since I'm based in the tropical paradise of Buffalo, New York, and since there was no hangar available, I became very used to working in the sun and the rain and the snow and whatever else Mother Nature could throw at us. So on one hand, it was challenging, but at the same time, quite honestly, it was fun as hell. So I started working on Boeing 727s and DC-8s, of which there are very few still flying around today. And since then, I've worked on a lot of the newer aircraft from Boeing and Airbus and Embraer. I've also worked on some tiny single-engine aircraft, and I've worked on some business jets, but I got to tell you, my real passion is for those big jets. I just love knowing that they're loading up with hundreds of people, and they're going to spend the next 16, 17, 18 hours in the air, and that, to me, is just absolutely amazing and astounding. This journey that I've been on since 1989 has been absolutely incredible, and it's continued to this day. So I've had the opportunity to learn from industry titans, and I've also been able to expand my own knowledge by spending a lot of time in the world's largest and most sophisticated network and maintenance operations centers. So I've met some people who've designed some of the most complex systems on modern aircraft, but most importantly, and really what I want to focus on, is I've just had the chance to meet and work with so many everyday people who do absolutely extraordinary work to keep these aircraft flying safely and reliably. Most of the time, these people, they're working behind the scenes and they're out of sight of the very people that rely on them the most. And those would be the crews and the passengers. Most of them have just an encyclopedic level of knowledge built up over decades of working on many different fleet types and seeing a lot of different types of problems. What they do most often is not understood by most people, and it truly is the world's largest team sport. So many people, so many roles, so many different areas of expertise that need to all come together to make the magic happen. Each one of those people has an amazing history and their own vault of knowledge. And for me, I believe that the more connected we are, the better we all become. On the Death to Downtime podcast, what we're going to do is we're going to explore a wide range of interesting topics, but they're all related to technical operations. And we're always going to do our best to connect you to those fascinating people that make the magic happen every single day. And we're going to do everything we can to share their important opinions and their ideas and their insights from within this global community. Even better, we're going to focus on turning those ideas and insights into actions that kill downtime in aviation and aerospace tech ops. Now, before I wrap up this episode, there is something that I want to address, and I think it's really important to do so because it's a valid question and it's one that's top of mind for a lot of people right now. Those people are the passengers, and the passengers who are seeing and hearing the constant news reports on the topic of aviation safety, and they're going, is aviation still safe? Now, some of the experts who are answering those questions that you see on TV and social media are actual experts, and they have credibility that you should be paying attention to and listening to. But unsurprisingly, and I'm sure this comes as no surprise to you, I'm also going to say that I've seen some so-called experts that say some things that are questionable at best. Now, I can only offer my opinion, but my opinion is based on 35 years of being in the trenches and experiencing the industry from a lot of different angles. Safety and regulatory compliance is baked into aviation on so many different levels, and it has so many layers. And those layers exist not only to prevent things from going sideways, but even to enforce the appropriate measures and decisions and actions if, on the rare occasion that things don't go as planned. So it's ingrained into the culture of aviation. It's integral to the design and the manufacture and the operation of the machines themselves. And then it's also built around the capabilities and the expectations and the limitations of the people who work the aviation system. It's the entire system working together to make sure that all the gaps are identified and closed. It's going back to that idea of the team sport, like I mentioned before. So we'll go into more detail on a future podcast. But for now, the message that I want to leave you with is that I strongly believe in the system. I believe in the safety of the system. All right. I fly often, my family does, and I have full confidence in the tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of professionals who collaborate every single day to keep flights safe and reliable for everyone. So this has been a blast. If you find this conversation valuable, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your friends and colleagues. You can learn more about what we do by checking us out on the web at airexpert.net. Until next time, and especially if you work in tech ops, please, please, please stay safe out there.